Shalom, shalom. It's part two. I'm going to go ahead and continue to read on. This was Romans chapter 11, verse 17 is where we're starting. We had left off when I closed the other one. Ran out a little bit of time. So we're starting from Romans chapter 11, verse 17 and on to 27. And it says, "And if some of the branches be broken off, and thou being a wild olive tree wert grafted in among them, and with them partakest of the root and fatness of the olive tree. Boast not against the branches, but if thou boast, thou bearest not the root, but the root thee. Thou wilt say then, the branches were broken off, that I might be grafted in. Well, because unbelief they were broken off. And thou standest by faith. Be not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed, lest he also spare not thee." Verse 22. "Behold, therefore, the goodness and the severity of God on them which fell severity, but toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou also shalt be cut off. And they also, if they abide not still in unbelief, shall be grafted in. For God is able to graft them in again. For if thou wert cut out of the olive tree which is wild by nature, and wert grafted contrary to nature into a good olive tree, how much more shall these which be in the natural branches be grafted into their own olive tree? For I would not, brethren," now listen to what he says here too. "For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part is happened to Israel." To who? Who did the blindness happen to? Israel. Remember Zechariah 13:8. Them 2/3 that don't know, and them 2/3 that are out there doing stuff, they are blinded. They can't see, neither can they hear. That's going happen to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles become in. And so all Israel shall be saved, as it is written, "There shall come out of Zion the deliverer, and shall turn away ungodliness from Jacob. From this is my covenant unto them, when I shall take away their sins." Now, think about this. Amos chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. Who was looked at? The only people that was under sin was who? Those that were breaking the law. Who were who? Israelites. What did he say? He said, as a matter of fact, let's go to it. I don't want to butcher it. That's Amos chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. Listen to what it says. Verse 2. "You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities." He just told you, out of all the people on the earth, again, I've only known you. Who was scattered? Israelites. Who were punished? Israelites. Who was enslaved? Israelites. Think about it. This is telling you what's going on. Now, you're probably confused with branch, tree, root, and all those words. You're probably confused about that. Some people get very confused about that, and it's not hard. I just explain it real easy. The root would be our forefathers of Israel. Then you have the branch, those that spread out. Then, of course, they had kids, and then what happens then? The children didn't listen. What happened? Boom, scattered. When they went scattering, guess what? What does, when you look at a tree, the tree doesn't just grow straight up. Doesn't it go up and then out? The branches go all over the place? Yes, they do. So remember, the root is who? Back in the past, which are our I want to say like forefathers or our ancestors and whatnot of Israel. And we know what they did. They didn't listen. So it went to the Gentiles. So that's going even further. But still, they are still the root. They're still included. They're not thrown out. So let's move on even further. Let's go into, matter of fact, let's go into the word world, because I remember I said that I would get back to that word world. And the word world, listen to this. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 45, verse 17. So you'll see who he's talking about. That's Isaiah chapter 45, verse 17. Let me see, Isaiah, it was 45. 45, verse 17. And this is what it says. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. What world is he talking about? He's talking about the world of Israel. Remember, the Israelites are a people before it's a place. World without end. We are the sands of the sea. There's a lot of us. Where, there's a whole lot. So when people read John 3:16, they don't understand. The world that he came for and died for was who? The Israelites. We're going to get into that. Let's move on a little further. Let's go into, the back to the root, the branch of the olive tree and whatnot, and the grafting in. Let's see what that talks about. Matter of fact, that's Romans chapter 9, verse 3 and 4. Let's go there. That's Romans chapter 9, verse 3 and 4. And let's see what that says. Romans chapter 9. Romans chapter 9, verse 3 and 4. And let's see what's going on here. At my time, 3 and 4. Listen to what Paul says. Awesome. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Mashiach, from my brethren, my kinsmen. You know what a kinsman is. According to the flesh. Who are who? Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption. So that throws out that the heathen could be adopted in. The Edomites, all them, they can be adopted in and they can be grafted in. Hell to the no, they can't. Let's reread that. Verse 4. Who are Israelites? Think about that. Israelites. No other nation. Who are Israelites, whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants and the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises. That will shut down Christianity just that quick if people really pay attention to these scriptures, which they not. Do what they got to do. Now, as it said here, the adoption. See, everybody gets that twisted. People out in this world or in these religions and whatnot. The adoption means everybody can be grafted in. And that's not what it's saying. Only of those of Israel can be brought back in. What did he say? My brethren, my kinsmen. You know who your kinfolk is? When somebody say my kinfolk, means your family, your people. Your familia, your family. So let's move on further with this. Let's go to Romans. Let me see. Let's go to Romans chapter 11, verse 1. Let's see what he says here. See what Paul says here. Because, see, people always say, oh, the Israelites were done away with. God got rid of them. He didn't want them no more. Well, we'll see about that. Romans 11, verse 1. Let's see what it says. I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Who was this speaking? Once again, this is Paul saying, had he cast away his people? Certainly not. Have they been punished? Hell yeah. They punished. Oh yeah, they going through a punishment. We going through some things. They all over the place. Why do you think he said he went to the Gentiles and he to minister, or he went to talk to them? Why would he only go to them? Because he knew who they were. To tell them that salvation was for them. Let's move on. Let's read that one more time, just for clarity's sake. That's Romans chapter 11, 1. I say then, hath God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin. Yeah, boy. Now, with all this being said, and trying to make things small, let's go to Yahushua and see what he says. Let's go to Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. Just to, poke it, just to jab it some more. Let's go to, that's Matthew. Okay, I don't run out of time. And that's Matthew chapter 15, verse 24. And listen to what he says, and only who he came. Then you put that with Amos chapter 3, verse 1 and 2. Then you maybe see the picture, if it's meant for you to see it. This is what he says. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Point blank, period. Who was Yahushua sent to? Who people call ignorantly Jesus. Who was he sent to? Let's read it again. Matthew 15, verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of who? Israel. Point blank, period. No other people. Now, for those that don't want to listen, and for those that can't understand, that don't all talking about all that, you go to Zechariah 13:8 and you'll see where you stand. That's that 2/3 that's going to be destroyed on this side. But you'll be reborn on the other side in the kingdom. But anyway, hope you was edified and everything. I want to say, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai. All praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rahach Hadash. Shalom.